What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Taylor Hinton Speaks His Mind, the number one online health and fitness podcast in the world. I'm going to keep saying that until it is actually a reality, which feels kind of goofy, to be honest, right now, because I only have been posting Form Fridays for the last at least couple months at this point. And it won't stay like that forever, but this is just where I'm at with what I'm doing with my business and the things that I'm putting first and how I'm getting all that taken care of. But you guys can always expect to have a weekly Form Friday where I'm reviewing clients' feedback. Again, available on Apple Podcasts. This is on YouTube. There's one other place. But I feel like, oh, that's a private place for my clients. But it doesn't matter because you guys get the full access to it. I'm not holding anything back. If you're listening to this on audio, obviously you're not getting the visuals, right? So if you want to actually see the screen that I'm looking at and look at the technique that I'm looking at that my clients are using, then go to YouTube and look me up, Taylor Hinton, or just Hinton Nation Coaching, HintonAtion. And let's get into it. So you guys may know if I am sounding weird on audio, then it's because I don't have my mic, and that's because I am on vacation with Angela for her birthday. We went to Vancouver Island in a small little area called Metchosin. I don't know exactly how to pronounce it, but it's Metchosin. And it's a very small little area, and it feels kind of stuck in time from a while ago. And everything is calm and cool and chill and relaxed. If you are from the mainland in Pacific Northwest, or like, where we're from is Abbotsford, but definitely Vancouver and that whole area, it's very busy. It's very go, go, go. It's everybody is trying to be as productive as they possibly can, myself included, and try to get as much stuff done, be as efficient as possible, right? And we are like that even to the point of our food. Like Angela and I traditionally don't sit down and cook dinner, which is something that we want to, be more consistent with doing that process when we have a family, when we, start having kids and stuff. But for right now, it's about building our business and being as efficient as we can. So we batch cook our food and we reheat it and we sit down together and have a meal. But oftentimes it's in front of the couch at the end of the day because we both have been working for like 10 to 12 hours and we want to just sit down and try to be as efficient as we can with the last hour of the day, which is eating some reheated food. That's all good, whole food stuff, and watching our TV show at the end of the night. So things will change for us at some point, but it's nice to be able to get out and kind of experience more of the lifestyle that we want to live when we get here. And since this is my podcast, I'm going to spend as much time talking about it as I want. It is beautiful at this Airbnb that we're at. It's literally, I didn't even know this when I booked it. Like I booked it because I saw the photos and then, it fit the criteria that I wanted. But I didn't realize until I got here that this is actually like the dream space for us. And it's actually given us a bit more perspective for looking at real estate in Tennessee. For those of you who know, Angela and I are going to move to Tennessee August 2027. I know I say that with a ton of confidence. At the same time, we have taken very few steps to actually making that happen. The biggest step that's most important is Angela getting her immigration paperwork started and taken care of. We don't know exactly how long that's going to be. It's one of those things where it's like, I know I have to do it, and you put it off because you just don't want to have to look at it, but it's inevitable and you have to do it. It might be something that only takes a few months because I'm a dual citizen, so it might be a little bit easier, quicker. And it might take a year and a half. Like we really don't know. So our goal right now is just to stack up as much cash as we can by coaching our clients and servicing them really, really well. That's a beautiful part about what we do is that I have no like shame talking about, you know, um, the efforts that we make to grow our business and to make a lot of money doing it because the only way that we are able to live the life that we want to live and to be financially free and make a ton of money, which for some reason is extremely taboo for a lot of people, wanting to make a lot of money is like this, it's seen as like a negative, selfish um, way to live your life. And I don't think it has to be that way. I mean, first off, the only way that Angela and I make all the money that we want to make is by being amazing at what we do. What we do is we literally help people change their life. So I have no shame in saying that I want to make a ton of money because I'm not treating people poorly or forcing people to do stuff that's not good for them or something that they don't want to do or something that they can't afford. If they can't afford it, they literally can't do it. So it doesn't, that's fine. Um, but it's also good to put people under pressure. Like people need to feel pressure sometimes. That's what helps you really dial things in and focus and grow into the better person that you're going to be. You're never going to become a better person by staying small and being comfortable and signing up with a coach and starting out a fitness journey or finishing a fitness journey that you started a million times in the past is going to be uncomfortable no matter what. And if that makes people have to adjust their budget a little bit for a period of time, but it means that they get to live the life that they want to live for the rest of their life and feel incredible every time they look in the mirror and be able to do things that they've been holding themselves back from doing because they don't feel physically adept at doing it. Like that, I think is a way bigger tragedy than me putting somebody under some pressure to make a decision that's going to benefit them for the rest of their life. Like I would rather have to be paying off a credit card. And I've done this a million times in my own business. That's why, again, I feel confident like telling people when they're on a call, yo, this is the decision that you've been avoiding for your entire life. And they get really uncomfortable about it. But the people who actually pull the trigger and say, you know what, you're right. Like this is scary. I'm nervous and all my instincts tell me to run away right now. Going forward through that process is the thing that is going to change your life. And so putting yourself in a little bit of debt on your credit card and you have to pay that off over the next like 6 months or something. If that's the case, for some people it's much easier. For some people it's much more challenging. I get that. But when you decide to make that commitment and you do it, 6 months of paying off a credit card versus living your life every single day, hating the way that you look and feeling inequipped, like you don't have autonomy over your body, like you don't have full liberty to do the things that you want to do. Like, how is that not the right decision? How is it not the right decision to be like changing up your food habits, which you have to change your fucking grocery bills too anyway? You have to eat better food. And you know what's crazy? It's going to be more affordable than ever was. That's actually one of the things that helped me stay really fit was when I was 18 and moved out of my dad's house. I was working a full-time minimum wage job. Like that was all that I was doing. So I didn't have the freedom to be spending money on bullshit that I didn't need, like buying a bunch of crazy, stupid foods at the grocery store that had zero protein in it. That's really convenient and maybe tastes really good right now, but makes your stomach feel like shit and my energy's down and I don't feel good in the gym. And then you get kind of addicted to that food, so you get it all the time, and now you're getting takeout and then you're getting fast food. Like it's always a convenience-based society that we've lived in. And the more convenient something is, the more expensive it's going to be. Like that's just how I've always broken things down. It doesn't have to be super expensive to eat healthy. Like you get fresh fruit or fresh vegetables, and it seems kind of expensive up front, but you realize that like, buying, for example, we bought pork tenderloin while we're out here, and it was like 20 bucks, I think, for this giant, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're watching this with me. It's this giant tube of meat. And we had to cut it up into those steak-sized portions. But that's good for like but for both of us to have 3 meals with that. And it was 20 bucks. And that's the meat. Like that's the most expensive part. And guess what? Pork tenderloin, just so you guys know, it's leaner than chicken and it's way more tender. I do not like pork. I don't know what it is, but for me, like pork grosses me out. Obviously, bacon's awesome. When I was a kid, my dad used to make pork chops. And those pork chops, he did it. He always overcooked them, and then he put this weird gravy all over it that was flavorless as well. And it sucked, and I hated it. And that was my only experience with pork. Like we didn't really have any other pork-based meat meals except my dad making these disgusting pork chops. So I hated it. And then my stepdad made pork tenderloin, and I was like, this is incredible. So I don't even buy it that often because Angela gets the groceries, and we normally get extra lean ground beef off of the farm. So we don't really buy our meat in the grocery store, anyways. But my point is like you're gonna have to make uncomfortable decisions when you decide to live the best version of yourself. And sometimes it means you have to reorganize your budget. But once you figure that part out, you realize it's actually much easier and much simpler to eat just good quality stuff because now you're not faced with a million different decisions of what to buy and you're not constantly looking at your budget. You know what you're going to buy. It's very consistent. And that makes tracking your food very easy because it's the same food. So it's super quick inside MyFitnessPal. It makes budgeting super easy because you're buying the same stuff on a regular basis. And it doesn't mean you can't have other things too. I mean, like, again, we're on vacation. We're buying different stuff right now. Cool, fun, exciting. Go out on the weekend when you're having a craving for something. Before we left for Angela's birthday, we went for sushi. Like we don't avoid having good stuff too. We're just more mindful about when we do that stuff. So maybe some of you need to think that way too, and it'll help you make better decisions for yourself. Um, so all that being said, let's get into Form Friday. And this is the part of the call where I share my screen. So on YouTube, you'll be able to see this. I'm going to pull it up here in a sec. Just make sure I'm looking at the right page. Don't want to share clients' personal information and stuff. And then I go through every single video over the last week that our clients have posted inside of our private group page called Lift and Learn. And inside this page, they post videos of themselves doing certain exercises, sometimes just because they decide to, sometimes because we demand that we want to see specific exercises from them privately, and then they post them here for us. And then we review these videos, give them feedback, they implement that feedback and go lift heavier weight once again. Jessie De La Roche, she has like a French name. You're seeing this if you're watching this on YouTube, her name. She started, I want to say like 8 to 9, I think it was, yeah, 8 months ago or something, 8 to 9 months ago. And she was squatting like 95 pounds, 115 pounds. And that was really challenging for her. And now she's up to 155 pounds for three. And we're going to look at her back squat and see how this is. So another client just messaged me last night and said that she had a lot of tenderness in her shoulder from where the bar placement was on her back, and that's limited her in how much weight she can lift. It's maybe caused a bit of a tweak, and now she has to lower her weights on some other exercises too. So when you're placing the bar on your back, everybody, a common mistake that a lot of people make when they first start is they will place the bar on the top of their neck, like on the actual vertebrae. And so it gets confusing when you're first starting to squat because you see other people online, I'm sure, squatting hundreds and hundreds of pounds. And you're like, how are they doing that? It kills my neck just putting the empty bar on my back. Like, there's no way. It's because you're putting the bar too high on your neck. It shouldn't be on your neck at all. It should literally be on your back. That's why it's called a back squat. It's on the top of your back, but it needs to be on the meaty part of your back and your shoulders. Basically, running, if you were to draw a line on your back from one shoulder all the way across to the other, that is where the bar should be placed. And then you pinch your hands on the bar nice and tight so your elbows are bent as much as you can comfortably while your hands are holding onto the bar. That pushes all your back muscles together. All that meat on your back folds together to create a nice little shelf where the bar can rest comfortably on your back. That's what Jessie's doing right now. See, her neck is totally free of the bar, and the bar is actually, it looks like it's on top of her shoulders from this angle. But if we looked at it from directly behind her, you would notice that the bar is not touching her neck. It's just on basically what you would think of her traps. Okay, so she looks comfortable in there. She has her bar positioning. I have the volume on so I can hear her breathing. I can't hear her breathing. She got, her gym has some fans. And we're just taking a look at her depth, her tempo, her form, her coordination, her balance. So Jessie looks like she's pushing herself pretty good, which is nice to see. But Jessie, what I'm noticing when you're squatting is your weight is shifting heavily to the back of your feet. So as you stand up, it looks almost like your hips are sitting backwards. So you squat down nice, but once you get down into this position here, watch your hips kick back behind you. They start shifting backwards. And basically what's happening is the more that Jessie is standing up, the more she feels like she's falling backwards right now. Now, I don't know if this is a conscious decision or not, but she's not allowing her knees to travel over her toes. And this is something that a lot of us were taught in the early 2000s and before. And even now, a lot of trainers who are really new to coaching people or whatever have this weird concept of you have to put your weight on your heels when you squat. And the idea of doing that means the purpose for that is that trainers want people to avoid having their knees travel over their toes because they feel that it's inherently bad and puts too much pressure on your knees. But the problem with that, the ironic problem with that, is when you don't let your knees travel over top of your toes, you force your low back to take more of the load. So her center of gravity is shifted backwards when she's squatting, especially when she's standing back up. and that's shifting more of the tension on her low back. Your knees aren't going to have a problem taking that load. And if you were to go look at photos or videos of Olympic weightlifters or, the strongest power lifters in the world doing heavy back squats, like 500, 800 pounds, 1,000 pound squats, they are squatting with their knees traveling as far over their toes as their body wants. They're not forcing their knees to go over their toes, but what they are making sure they do is squat straight down into the hole. We call the hole the bottom position of the squat. And you want to have even pressure on the front and back of your foot when you're squatting. That allows for the bar path to travel smoothly, straight down and straight up. Imagine you were squatting in a Smith machine where the bar is fixed and it can't travel forwards or backwards. It can only move up and down. You want to have that same type of pressure when you're pushing your feet into the floor so the bar feels like it's moving straight up, not backwards at all. So, Jesse, when you're doing your squats, what it looks like here is it looks like you're pushing your knees out, which is good, but it looks like your feet just might be a little bit too narrow. And I want you to, instead of having your feet pointing straight in front of you, I actually want your toes to be out at an angle, pointing outwards slightly. That's going to create more space for your hips to comfortably drop into that bottom position while maintaining even pressure on the front and back of your feet. When you're traveling down right now, your weight is kind of shifted more towards your heels slightly, not a lot, but slightly. So I want you to kind of lean forward a little bit more in your squat. She's doing a good job when she starts her squat of sitting back initially. So watch this. See how she kind of kicks her hips back a little bit? She's starting to do that, but I need you to kind of dip your chest forward a little bit more at the same time. Just given your anatomy, when you have shorter legs, you're going to feel more comfortable having a bit more of a angle in your torso, your upper body, with your chest kind of dipped down towards the floor a little bit more. You still want to have your back, call it flat or pinched. You want your core braced and your upper back braced by keeping your chest nice and tall. But you can hinge forward a little bit more than this. Like imagine you're going to do a good morning and then keep your feet out a little bit further. That way, when you're squatting from here, you're able to put even pressure on the front and back of your feet. But when you squat, Jesse, you're drifting backwards because you're pushing your heels into the ground and your butt's starting to kick up. And when you're squatting heavy weights for 3 reps, your butt's going to kick up a little bit anyways. That's fine. But the problem here is that when you shift your weight back like that, you're putting so much pressure on your low back and you're going to feel a lot weaker because your center of gravity is traveling backwards instead of straight up. Like this is a really good position here, but when you drive your feet into the floor, even pressure on the front and back of your feet, you think about using your quads a little bit more. And something that might help you initially right now, just to get more comfortable with this, is just elevating your heels. I think that you're a lot stronger than this too, but I understand that you probably don't want to add any more weight because you're feeling off balance doing this. So elevate your heels and think about squatting all the way into the bottom of the hole. We want to get your calves to press against your hamstrings a little bit more. See how there's a lot of space here? You're not getting this coverage. Have your hamstrings pressing against your calves. That's what's going to help you feel a little bit more stable when you're squatting too. Okay. So that's it for you, Jesse. That looks pretty good otherwise. Let's take a look. I think Truly just posted a kickback and Truly messaged me privately. She said, "Hey, I am feeling this in my um, stabilizer leg." So her right leg in this case is where she's actually feeling it more than in her active leg that she's supposed to be trying to feeling this in. Maya, go ahead, Maya. Tell me what Jesse needs to do differently to squat better. Maya's like, Maya is my best friend's fiance as of 24 hours ago. And so I was like, fine, I guess I'll follow her now too. And um, and then she was like, okay, he followed me first. Now I can follow back. So she followed me. I'm just making this up in my head, but that's what happened. So now she's here on her very first live and she's telling me I'm doing my job wrong. So that's fine. We'll give her, her minute here to tell me everything I'm doing wrong. So I'm excited to see that. While we're waiting for Maya to tell me all the things I'm doing wrong, I got Instagram up for people who are listening or watching this on YouTube. And if you see my phone on YouTube, that's why I'm letting Instagram look at this too live at the same time. So Angela's not joining me for today because she's going to take some videos and get some other content stuff done at the same time. But I did tell Angela about how Truly is doing this kickback. Truly, it is probably going to be something that we're going to want to switch from doing elevated to just doing like a kneeling kickback on an incline bench. So what we would do is get that off leg, that stabilizer leg, knelt into an incline bench, and then now your whole body is totally stabilized against the bench rather than having to stabilize on this plate. And then you can focus purely on your active leg when you're kicking back. Now it's kind of hard to tell from this angle, but I think we may have mentioned this in the last kickback video that you posted for us too. It looks like when you're kicking back, your heel is traveling behind your body, like crossing over to your right side of your body. And that's kind of opposite of what we're going for. So you may want to try to just change up your angle of how you're positioned against um, this cable machine so that when you kick back, you can also kick back while keeping tension on your glutes, but kick back outside of your body. So instead of your leg crossing behind you to the other side of your body, do the opposite. Have that leg kick out to the side a little bit more so we can hit the medius of your glute. Because right now, the further that you cross that heel behind your body to the opposite side, the more glute max you're going to get. And we're already hitting glute max with deep squats, Romanian deadlifts, and hip thrusts. We don't need any more of that with this exercise. We want to try to target more of the smaller medial part of your glute. Kicking outwards is going to help a little bit more with that. You don't necessarily need to kick back more. If we were to say, hey, you got to kick that foot back more, the issue with that would be now you're going to be using a lot more momentum to get a couple of inches higher. And at what cost? Because you're going to remove a lot of tension. You're using a lot of momentum to swing your leg back. So we're only kicking back as far as your body will allow you to while keeping tension. So that's fine. I don't really care how far you kick back. We just want to get tension off of that off leg. So I think we need to go onto an incline bench. We'll make that change inside your program. Maya, go ahead. Come on, Maya. Unless you're typing something huge, I'm waiting eagerly to see all the problems that I have. Go ahead. Tell me. She's probably just fucking with me. She's probably just. I wouldn't be surprised if it was my friend who was like, type false, post that. Make him feel small and insignificant. Don't worry. I already am. I already feel that way. Yeah, truly. Let's get you on an incline bench doing it that way instead. Okay, so this one looks better. This looks like you are kicking out. I like that. That's good. Truly, let me know. Did you feel this better when you were kicking with your right leg than you did with your left? Because this looks, it might have just been the angle and I couldn't tell. What you might want to try doing here, truly, too, is getting this plate a little bit further away from the cable and then allowing your upper body to be at a bit more of an angle. Like having your upper body a little bit more parallel with the floor. Okay, the more vertical that you are, the less range of motion you're going to get. And this will be particularly important for when you're on the return. So when you're stretching your glute back to the start position, because from here to here, like there isn't much stretch happening in that glute because you're pretty much standing nice and tall, right? But if you have your upper body dip down, if you're basically hinging at the hip a little bit more, that's going to create more range of motion. Think about how your glute is shaped. When you stand tall, it's neutral. When you hinge forward, you're stretching your glute. When you extend backwards, like if you were to be leaning backwards in your upper body, like the back of your shoulders were further back than your glutes, like you're really leaning back, that would be like a contracted position or is deeply contracted as a muscle could get. So you're going to get that deep contraction just by kicking the leg back. We don't need to do any more emphasis of that by standing tall. Leaning forward more is going to close your hip, and closing the hip is what's going to allow for that stretch in the glute a little bit more. So to do that, move this plate backwards a couple more inches, lean forward so that you have to kind of reach towards this pole, and that'll give you that hip bending position that we want to be in. So you can get a bit more of a stretch from here. The other thing would be like if this cable was just further, like imagine if this cable was further back here, then you could bring your foot a lot closer here and that also would close the hip, but we're limited obviously by where the cable is. So get that plate back a little bit further, close the hip a little bit more. You'll feel a better stretch at the bottom of this one. And hopefully that is helpful. But yeah, let me know if you're feeling this more on your left leg than on your right. Okay, Jess Coster, barbell RDLs. I believe this is my first set of 10 to 12 reps at 165. Let me know what you think. I will let you know what I think. Now, I already know that Jess' breathing is really, really good, so I don't need to look at that. And this does look really good. See how she's keeping her back nice and flat? She's the only way that she can lower this weight. When you're doing a Romanian deadlift, the only way that you lower this weight, guys and girls, is by sitting your hips backwards, okay? Closing the hip. That's what she's doing. She's closing the hip, closing the hip, closing the hip, keeping the knees slightly bent, but not bending her knees throughout the rep. Chest is nice and tall. Armpits are pulled down towards the hip. You can actually see her lat right here is nice and active. So her upper body is nice and tense. Her core is braced nice and tight. And then from here, it's literally like a hip thrust. That's what she's doing. She's doing a good job of that. It does look a lot, Jess, like at the initial part of you lifting this weight back up, it does look like you are pulling the weight up. Like watch your body. It looks like you're pulling this weight up. See how your hips are still back here? Let's try to drive the weight forward by thrusting your hips forward. Okay. And I think here, let me see this for a second. It might be on my story. I think it's on my story. Now, I did a single leg landmine Romanian deadlift yesterday and I posted it, I think, on my story. And I want to show you how much. Oh, God, am I gonna? No, I can't, of course, because I'm on live right now. So I can't watch my own live. I'm watching. Whoa, look at us here. This is like, oh, it's a little bit delayed. That's so weird. Yeah, so I can't watch the story, unfortunately, but watch it on my story, Jess, and I can post it for you guys later. The only way that you raise this weight is by opening your hip or thrusting your hips forward. You're kind of pulling up and then you finish with your hips at the end. That's just one small detail and otherwise a really good lift. With the Romanian deadlift, everybody, this is the one that you will be leaning more onto your heels doing this one. And here's just something, a point of emphasis. Look at her frickin' face, everybody. Look at how much grit and how much intensity and how much she's pushing. You can see that she's pushing herself really hard. If you can hear this too. You hear her breathing. So a lot of tension on their glutes. One of the funniest problems that people have sometimes when doing certain exercises is I'm not feeling this muscle. I'm not feeling this muscle. Your problem is probably that you're just not lifting heavy enough. Like if you have enough weight on the bar, your muscles are going to feel that tension. And it's not about the burn. Like yeah, you will feel a burn at 10 to 12 reps for sure. It's just enough reps that you start to get that mitochondrial buildup. But we're not doing compound exercises like Romanian deadlift to target a specific muscle. We are just trying to move as much weight as we can with good technique. And inherently, when you do that, certain muscles are going to be targeted. In this case, it's the posterior chain, it's glutes, it's hamstrings, it's even lower back. Truthfully, your entire back is going to get hit when you're deadlifting, even Romanian deadlifts. So, no, I think this is good. And I like the intensity. And as you know, per usual, Jess, if you can, add a little bit more weight, but I think that this looks good. And you didn't necessarily give me anything to go off of here in terms of, hey, I'm not feeling this, or this is feeling weird, or whatever. So if you're just looking for an overall assessment of your RDL, I think that this is really, really good. And now it's just going to be about loading more weight. The next step for Jess as we progress her program is likely going to be that we're going to lower her reps down to 6 to 8. So if she's doing 165 pounds for 10 to 12 right now, then she should be absolutely going to at least 185 pounds for 6 to 8 because ultimately we need to feel like we're getting really, really close to hitting muscular failure by the end of our set, regardless of how many reps. So if she only had one rep, she's probably going to do like 205 or 225 or 215, something like that, somewhere in that range. But it's rarely beneficial to do one rep of a Romanian deadlift. My point is scale the weight to the amount of reps that you're doing. If you're doing much less reps, then you need to load much more weight. If you're doing more reps, you'll be forced to lift a little bit lighter while still hitting that failure point. Emmy, she is doing deadlifts. Now, Emmy has had a personal trainer. She's actually had a couple, and her most recent online trainer was a girl in her early 20s who gave her a lot of different circuit stuff because Emmy said that she wanted to burn some belly fat. But Emmy's problem is not that she needs to lose weight. Like Emmy's weight is extremely appropriate. She doesn't need to focus on weight loss, nor should any coach be programming any exercises for weight loss. Exercise should be purely a performance-based metric. So strength is like the number one and easiest thing, and probably the biggest thing that most people need to develop, including Emmy. But it could also be for power, it could be for speed, it could be for endurance. Exercise is supposed to be for performance. Weight loss happens through your regular general activity. So the steps that you're getting throughout the day, or if you decide to go for a bike ride on the weekend because you just enjoy doing that stuff and you have the capacity to do that because you train for performance, and primarily the calories that you consume. So what we're doing now with Emmy is we're about to enter her first deficit after working together for coming up on 3 months at this point. But this entire time, we've been slowly increasing her calories, and she's now eating, I think, at 2,000 or maybe a little bit more than 2,000 calories a day, like 2,200. I don't remember exactly. Maybe 1,800 because she's trying to get to 2,000, but she's just full, and I don't want her to overeat. You should never be trying to overeat. But we need to give yourself what we would call economy calories, enough calories so you can actually perform well. Because if we were to just put her in a calorie deficit on day one and she's already only eating 1,500 calories, we don't really have a lot of room to lower calories so she can lose weight. She could lose weight, but at what cost? Because if you have to be at 1,200 calories to lose body fat, then you're going to be a weak person. And weak people don't stay lean and strong and fit, and lean and strong, fit people eat a lot of food. So we need to give her the food that she needs so she can perform well in the gym. And then from there, she's adding muscle, she's increasing her energy, she's getting stronger. And through that process, building her metabolism to a point where she doesn't have to eat 1,200 calories to lose weight. If we can get her up to eating like 2,500 calories with her body weight staying the same and adding muscle and having way more energy, then when we put her in a deficit at, 1,600 calories, she's dropping fat like crazy and able to maintain her muscle. And through that time that we're spending on economy calories where we're eating more food, she's learning how to track her food. She's learning how to eat lean quality protein so that when she is ready to put herself into a deficit, she can do so more comfortably without having to try to learn how to track her food for the first time and eat loads of protein with really low calories. Like that's tough to do. So we're building up a ton of really good skills for her, primarily in movement literacy and feeling confident lifting heavy weights and eating. She's always eaten good quality foods, but now she's going to be more specific with how much of each food type she's eating. So when she's ready for a deficit, it's going to look really, really good. Okay. So let's see what we got going on here. These are Romanian deadlifts, Emmy. Emmy, this is looking really good. Effort and intensity is there. She was lifting very light weights to start, like 65 pounds for her Romanian deadlift, because she was given with her previous coach a bunch of circuits where she was doing like 20 or 30 repetitions and no rest and going into something else, just getting super sweaty and super tired. Your muscles don't respond to by getting stronger when you lift heavy or light shit a million times. That's cardio. Now we're doing way less reps than she's used to and lifting way more weight and focusing on making sure that she's bracing really, really well. So, Emmy, your brace looks really good. You're staying in a good position. You're lowering the weight while keeping your knees pretty straight. So, one thing I would encourage you to do though is do this out of the rack. Like when you take that first rep, because you're taking this weight all the way from the ground and basically deadlifting it, you're doing one full deadlift rep and then getting in position and then starting your set. So, you're going to be more fatigued. All of this that you're doing just to get set up is tiring you out more than you need to. So you probably could go to 125 next week, but start by taking the weight out of the rack, right at around knee height. So all you got to do is pull the weight up, take a step back, and then start your set. That way you don't have to deadlift the first rep to get in a position. One thing that you're doing here, Emmy, that I like a lot is as you lower, you're sending your hips back. Okay, your upper body is braced, your armpits are down towards your hips. You're very tense up here. This is good. You have a slight knee bend. I can tell there's lots of tension in the glute and the hamstrings and low back. Perfect. That's a Romanian deadlift. You're doing this very, very well. When you lift the weight back up, watch your shoulders. This is where you need to make your change. So let's watch your shoulders the entire time. See that shrugging happening? When you're lifting the weight, your mind, when you're lowering the weight, your mind is locked into armpits down, armpits down, which is good. We want that. So here, you're in a good position. This is great. Perfect bracing up top. But as you lift back up, your brain shifts from have a strong brace into lift the weight, lift the weight, lift the weight. And subconsciously, you're saying to yourself, at any cost. So at any cost means that you're going to do this big shrug and raising your shoulders up. You need to keep your armpits pinned down. The only way that this weight is being lifted is by hips being thrusted forward. Okay. Every time you shrug your shoulders up, you lose your brace. You're out of position. You're going to be weaker and the weight's going to feel much heavier. So keep those armpits locked straight down the entire time. That's the only cue that I have for you. Keep the arms down. Keep your arms long. Don't raise your shoulders up to your ears. When you do that, you lose your brace and you get out of position. Otherwise, pretty freaking good. I like to see it. Okay, Jess, once again, first set of squats is 170. Second set is 175, and she failed that one. I did watch these videos earlier, but I do want to give her a formal review. Hip thrust at 220, at 245. Okay, I'm trying to change her form because previously for the last 2 weeks, when Jess has posted this, she's doing there's two different techniques when you're doing your hip thrust that some people use. And we believe in doing the hinge version rather than the scooping version. The scooping version is when you anteriorly tilt your pelvis down so she kind of arches her back at the bottom and then thrusting her hips up and tilting her pelvis forward at the top. So not actually much levering at the hips by lowering the hips down and raising the hips back up. She more just kind of like I want to say twerking. She basically rotates her hips down, rotates her hips up by keeping her upper body still. And so we're trying to fix that by keeping her hips locked forward and then just lowering the bar down to the ground and then thrusting her hips back up by driving her feet into the ground. So what we're looking for is her back to actually kind of get flat against the bench when she's at the top peak contraction when her hips are up, and then her back at about a 45-degree angle with the weight down at the ground. And you'll see when I get into the video. So this is her hips forward. This is good. She's squeezing her glutes and she's tilting her pelvis forward, so she's flattening her lower back. What we're looking for is her hips to effectively stay in the same position, but her upper body to kind of rise up so that instead of her back being flat on this bench, she's at more of a 45-degree angle and she's just dropping her hips down, not rotating her hips, not articulating her hips down. She's dropping her hips down. So it's good. And she's starting to give way a little bit right here. She's starting to arch her back a little bit. So there's still a little bit of arch when you're lowering the weight here. Like it looks good here. And then right, especially from here and any lower than you go from here, Jess, this is where you start to lose that brace and you start to arch your back. Watch this. Watch your back. You see that? Right at the bottom, the last like 2 inches is where it looks like you're doing a little bit of scooping at the bottom. This is a million times better than it was before. We really like this. You just got to fight to stay in position at the very bottom. But overall, this is good. The weight is good. I know that you're feeling this in your glutes, and that is the most important part. So, the thing that I definitely don't want you to do, Jess, is I definitely don't want you to lower the weight or reduce the weight, reduce the load so that you can have the technique that we're asking you to do. I know it's harder to do it the way that we're doing it, but don't lower the weight to try to like fix that or something. I think you're getting it now. Like you understand the concept that we're going for. And as you get more fatigued, you're doing a lot more of that scooping. So keep fighting to stay. Yeah, lots of scooping there. See here? This is where I want you to stay. Stay in this position and then just drop the hips down. But you are keeping, see how your ribs didn't move at all? Your ribs stayed right here and then you just dropped it down. So you're like the bottom half of your ribs are basically being pulled down to the floor. The top half of your ribs are staying really tall. It's like the hips are lowering while the rib cage stays stationary. And we want your hips and your ribs to lower together at the same time. They shouldn't be independent of each other. The intensity is there. The intensity is going to grow your glutes. Is it the most efficient way? No. Make a couple changes. Keep your ribs and your hips locked in together. Like imagine they can't move independent of each other. If you do that, way better. Big cue that we had for her with her squats was that she was almost making it more difficult for herself by putting her entire foot on the wedges. We don't need that. We just need to have your heels elevated. So if you can have the ball of your foot on the ground and your heels on the wedges, your heel is elevated. Check. Now you've done that better. So you're going to be more stable here. The other big cue that we had for her was that she was almost too slow when she was doing this. Like her tempo was too good. As she was lowering down before, she maintained the exact same pace the entire time down to the bottom. And then as she was standing up, that made it so much more difficult for her to actually move heavy loads. So what we're looking for is nice slow control about halfway down. And then the bottom half, I want her to kind of speed up her descent a little bit so that she can almost bounce out of the hole a little bit more aggressively. This is a more nuanced technique, but this is what you would do to lift the biggest loads that you can. And when you're only doing 3, maybe 5 reps at most, this technique will help you move more weight. More weight means more tension on the muscles, and the more tension that you have, the more growth you're going to have. This is not something that I would make a day one client do because I want them to have really good technique and have very, very good control of the weight, feeling the weight the entire time. But then as we get heavier with the weights and we start loading on weight that's going to be really challenging, you simply won't be able to come out of the hole if you're using zero momentum to do it. So it's kind of a balance of like, let's use a little bit of body language so that we can get out of the hole a little bit faster, therefore being able to lift heavier weight. And heavier weight is the number one key that's going to help her move more. So let's see. So this is her first set. She does a second set of squats. This is her first set, and she doesn't use that speed at the bottom very well. Like that rep was very hard. That was her first rep. Watch this first rep. Very slow at the bottom, and that coming up was very, very hard. Now let's watch. There's a little bit more speed on that one, and the bar did look like it moved a little bit better. And it's totally okay, everybody, to take a second at the top to gain your breath. Okay. Not able to do it so well on that last one. Now, this is a little bit lighter. I don't know which one she did first. I think she did this one first. So this is lighter weight, and it looked just as hard as heavier weight. There we go. We got a bit more speed there, and the bar came up a lot better. That was good. You need to have that speed at the bottom half. So the first half, nice and slow. First half a little slower, and then speeding up at the bottom, and that's good. That's what you need. You just need to use a little bit more speed at the bottom. Otherwise, this is looking really good. I like your foot placement. I like the drive. I like the intensity. Nothing you need to change. And then we've got my video here, and then we have these barbell deadlifts. This was done on the Thursday. We did review that one already, and I believe I just saw a notification pop up. Jess Coster posted one more video. Let's go ahead and see what that looks like. Okay, Bulgarian squats with 50 pounds in each hand. 50-pound dumbbells, everybody. Guys and girls, I know there's plenty of guys in here that are not using 50-pound dumbbells yet for the Bulgarians. This is Jess Coster, 130-pound female. She's doing it, so go for it. I don't think I get this way. Okay. Feels pretty good. Looks awkward, but if I put my foot out further, I don't think I could get the weight. Kickbacks with 70 pounds. Okay, let's take a look. Now she's moving with a lot more speed. than what we would tell somebody who's new to do. But this is what I want from Jess. I want her to move with a bit more speed. I want her to move heavier weights because it's not, she's not always going to have this technique, or I'm not going to always tell her to lift really, really big weight. There's times when I'm going to ask her to have more control and more, uh, a slower kind of tempo, I suppose. But right now, it's like, dude, you've been building up a ton of strength in the background for a while. Now it's time to apply that strength with some heavy ass fucking weight and move it. This is good. This is good. Again, like some people are going to watch this and be like, oh, she looks like she's using momentum. She's doing it too fast. She's not targeting the muscle. Guys, the muscle is going to get fucking hit if you lift heavy fucking weight. And that's what she's doing. And this is building a lot more strength in her tendons too. The bone density benefits that she's getting from just moving heavy weights, even if the technique isn't perfect. I truly believe that moving heavy weight, as long as you're doing it safely, like you still have a strong brace, you're not putting yourself out of position where you're going to get hurt or tweak something. Like the form could be at 80% of what you would consider perfect as long as the intensity is perfect. I'd rather have perfect intensity and sub perfect technique. That's what's going to give you the results. And if you're too scared to push yourself hard, then you're going to find yourself feeling really stuck, not being able to make progress. Part of this too is mentally, she's just convinced herself that she can fucking BSS 50-pound dumbbells. So she's going to be a lot more bold when she's doing all of her other exercises too. There's a psychological component to lifting that people don't value enough, and this is definitely going to push her to the next level. So I like it. Is the technique perfect? No. But what you can do isn't the problem here for everybody would be if she was like, okay, I did it with like this, let's go to 60 pounds. And then her technique gets worse and it gets worse. And then she gets hurt. She has a good weight here. Her technique can improve. Let's stick with this weight because you've shown yourself that you can do this safely and you're bracing. Even though the technique's not perfect, your brace is still good. You're not going to get hurt here. Now let's improve the technique. Now let's make the negative a little bit slower over time while maintaining this weight. That right there is progress. Even if the weight doesn't change for 4 weeks, but your technique looks 10 times better in 4 weeks, that is progress. That is your body being able to manage heavier loads with better control because it is stronger. Okay, so this is the same thing that we saw with Truly, the elevated kickback. She's kicking that foot away from her body, which is nice. This is good. I like to see that too. And see Truly how she is leaning into the machine a little bit more, how her upper body is almost parallel with the floor. That's kind of what I want you to go for. So you're going to have to just play around with different positions truly so that you can get yourself in a position that feels like you can have a lot of tension on that active leg while having your body forward a little bit more so you can close the hip and have a better stretch at the bottom. But that overall looks pretty good. I'll have Angela take a look and she can give some feedback too on this. But overall, I think that that is looking exactly how we want it to. And again, she's kicking away from her body out here, so she's getting that glute med. This is going to give her more of that shelf that we're going for. She's already hit the Romanian deadlift and the hip thrust. So glute max has gotten all the work that it needs. And now we're doing the fine tuning, a little bit of the, you could call it the sculpting, building up some of the smaller muscles so she has that fullness. It's not, we're not just going for a big ass, we're going for a like, what good is it to have a giant butt if it doesn't look great? She's doing exercises that are going to help her do that. Genetics are going to play a huge role in that too. If you have nice shaped glutes to start and all you got to do at that point is just kind of fill them in a bit, then awesome. And that is the case actually for Truly and Jess. They have great shape. They just need to fill them out a little bit more and get stronger, and that'll fix everything up. So that is it, everybody, for Form Friday. Hope that you guys got a ton of value out of this. Thanks so much for watching. If you're a client, we have our in-person event on September 11th, sorry, September 12th. Okay. And that is in Abbotsford, British Columbia. We've booked out an entire gym. So it's just going to be us, Hinton Nation, inside the facility for 3 hours. It is $30. I am devaluing this by not charging you enough. And maybe that's my problem, but I'll deal with that later in the next one. It is not going to be 30 bucks ever again. It's going to be either 60 or 90 or 100 or something like that at the very least. But we want to get you guys in. We want to give you guys absolutely zero reason to not show up. So plenty of time in advance. We have about 3 weeks before that event. We announce it, I want to say 3 weeks from today, like 3 weeks ago. So there's plenty of time to get this prepared, plenty of time to book time off or get somebody to cover your shift. Come out and make this event important for you. Jess is coming from fucking Kelowna. Like she's taking a 3 hour drive to get out here and do that. Okay, so it's well worth your time. It is going to be something that you'll be able to take with you for the rest of your life. The techniques that you're going to learn and the way that you're going to be able to move weight is going to be completely different. You're going to see crazy accelerated progress. This is only for clients for now, but something that Angela and I are considering opening up to the public as well. So that is it. If you are interested and you are a client, just shoot either one of your coaches a message and we will get you booked in for that. And if you are not a client and you're like, I really, really, really want to just come and learn, then shoot us a message too. We might be able to open that up for you too. That is it. Have an amazing rest of your weekend. Angela and I are going to go enjoy the beautiful Vancouver Island where vibes are super fucking chill. So take care, everybody. Peace out.